Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you that are just new, I've been doing a number of videos every now and again. I'm just a new blogger, and I'm just trying to take the direction more. I'm leaning more towards um, political blogging and yeah, basically political blogging really, and talking about issues that affect the society, affect the economy, affect the countries, and affect the world generally. Um, I'll start today by saying Happy Independence Day to Uganda. It's the 55th celebrations of independence from Britain since 1962. Um, what is independence? For those that do not really understand what exactly I'm meaning here. If you go by, the dictionary describes independence as the fact of a state of being independent, which means self-government, self-rule, um, yeah, self-government, self-rule, freedom, liberty. Yeah, for those that do not know, Uganda got independence from Britain in 1962, and we've had a number of presidents since then who have governed the country up until now. I'll give you just a brief background. Let me just find something here. Yeah. Um, like I said, Uganda got independence from the British in 1962, and the head of state under Uganda Independence Act 1962 was the Queen of Uganda, Elizabeth II, who was also the monarch of the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms. The Queen was represented in Uganda by a Governor General, um, and Uganda became a republic under the Constitution of 1963 when the monarch and Governor General were replaced by an executive president. So the monarch ran from 1962 to 1963, and then the first person that came to govern Uganda came in 1963 and governed until about 1971. And then there was a military rule that came in then from about 1971 to 1979. And then there was a second republic, which was from 1979 to 1985. Then again, there was a military rule from 1985 to 1986, of which the Third Republic came into power in 1986 and has been ruling up until now. Um, what can I say about that? The Third Republic is, they came into power as, I think they were called the National Resistance, I think it was NRA, something like that, National Resistance, um, something, which now is anyway National Resistance Movement. And the chairman or the chairperson of the party, that took over in 1986 is the current president, who is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and he's been president from 1986 up until now. Yeah. That brings me to the question of, are we actually independent with regard to Uganda? Um, with the things that have been going on, currently in Uganda, in my own opinion, I would say yes, we used to enjoy independence. We we became independent from the Brits and, began to run our own things in our own country. Um, yes, some presidents came in, um, you know, some did a good job, but of course, like any other human being, they'll never be perfect. There'll always be, some instances where they'll fail, and then, there's some instances where they did really well. An example is President Milton Obote, who is now elate. May his soul rest in peace. He endeavored to put up, a number of schools and hospitals, which up until now are still, up and running in Uganda, even though majority of them have now been run down because of lack of maintenance by the current government. Um, yeah, the current government, they've tried as well, to do a number of things here and there, different kinds of developments, but they've also failed in many other ways. But I must say, you should give credit where credit is due. I was only about 4 years old when um, the current government came into power in 1986. So I must say, when the military rule was there, between 71 probably and 85, I wasn't really, I didn't really know much, or maybe I didn't understand much. But from the time that I began to understand, I don't really remember any time when, you know, any kind of instability, or any war, you know, or any insecurities that were there, when I was understanding basically. But the things that I'm told, that there was a lot of fighting before, there was so much fear within the state. People wouldn't just move freely. People were subjected to all kinds of, torture, abuse. Sometimes, they'll take people to like the firing squad if you're being accused of having done something wrong, or if you're being accused of how do I put it, like, people that have probably gone against um, what the presidents, or the people that were governing before the current rule, before the current government, if you went against their word, if you went against what they expected of you, and then they'll just kill you or make you disappear, or target your family as well. And people will just disappear most of the time, and you'd never know where they are. Up until now, some people do not know where their relatives were, whether they passed on, or they do not know anything about them. Even if they passed on, they've never seen, like, what happened to them, were they buried, or things like that, which is really sad. um like I said, give credit where credit is due. i've I've I don't remember any day when I ever saw any kind of fighting or war, or things happening, you know in terms of people being killed openly here and again, or killings happening, or people having um, to leave the country Uganda and run away and go to another country because of instability. With that said, though, the current government boasts of having brought freedom to the country, which, yes, I do agree. They liberated the country from the military rule that was there, the military government that was there before them. But then, like any other, institution, or any other human being, really, when at times in life, when you overstay in a place, or when you become too comfortable, you end up becoming very complacent, and you begin to take things for granted, or you lose focus. Maybe the best way I can say it is lose focus, you know, other than focusing on the main, the most important things. You begin to derail your focus and begin focusing on, things which are not really, important, which are not beneficial to the citizens. And that's exactly what has been happening in my country. um Whereas, they should focus on, like, um the education system, the hospitals, the roads. Oh my god, the roads in my country are terrible. you know People make fun of it, make a lot of fun about it. And there's some memes that people make, like, their potholes is what we call potholes, when when the road begins to lose its surface, it's concrete, and then it begins creating like a sinkhole. So when it rains, there's always like flooding, or there's water that collects in there, and people make fun of it, that you can actually fish in Uganda, in the Ugandan potholes. Anyway, so things like roads, hospitals, schools, especially the government schools, um, and many other institutions, especially government, um, things that are under the government, basically. The maintenance is very poor. The hospitals, the government hospitals, are really terrible. The conditions are so terrible. The main government hospitals, they try at least a bit, to maintain the standards and maintain, the quality of services that they give. But then the further you get out of the city, the worse it becomes, because the further you get out, yes, there's some main hospitals, but then, many of the little villages have, health centers instead of bigger hospitals. And it's appalling. The state in which they are really, really appalling. And instead of, like, improving these places, a lot of money is wasted on other things. Like, an example is, right now, what's going on in my country. They are trying to amend, an article in the constitution, in the Ugandan constitution, Article 102B, which has to do with, the age limit for presidency, which is between 35 and 75. They want to do away with that and leave it open, so anyone can run for presidency. It doesn't matter how old you are, which, in my own opinion, in my own view, I think it's wrong. It's wrong, and it shouldn't be done. But they're still pushing and going ahead to do it. Now, because they are trying to amend that article and they are pushing for it, they've now come up, and we have over 400 members of parliament, and they want to give every member of parliament 20 million Ugandan shillings. That's about, I would say, maybe over 4,000 pounds, you know, to go and consult their, the members in their constituents, to ask them the question, whether they want the article to actually be amended or not. Now, if they can get this amount, because if you multiply 20 million with over 400 members of parliament, that's, we are talking of billions. If they can find money, this is where I'm coming, this is where I'm coming from with regard to, derailing from the focus. If they can find over 100 billion to give to members of parliament to go and consult their constituents over an issue that is not important to everybody. It's important to a certain group of people. I would say that, I don't want to delve much into it, but if this article is important to a certain group of people, if they can get that money and do what they're trying to do now, why would they not be able to get that money to improve the health centers, to improve the conditions in the government hospitals, to improve the schools? You should see the kind of schools the children go to. Apparently, these are schools called schools that are under a system that was introduced by the current government, called universal primary education. What does universal primary education mean? Universal primary education is an education system that was introduced to cater for every child in the country, to enable them go to school whether they can afford or they cannot afford it. So which basically means they will go to school free of charge. When I say free of charge, knowing the kinds of countries that we come from in Africa, there's nothing that's ever for free. Whenever things are to be done, or if you're to benefit from anything, there'll always be some costs that will cut corners here and there, and try and squeeze some money out of you. Yes, it's free education, but the children have to buy their own books, they have to buy their own pencils, their own pens, their own uniforms, even when they can't afford it. And the state in which some of the schools are in is very appalling. Some of the children learn under trees. Some of the children learn, yes, I wouldn't necessarily call it a classroom. The best way I would describe it is a skeleton building. A newly built um, property or house, or building that has only been, when they've put the bricks together, just to give you an idea of how the house is going to be like. No windows, no doors, but every other structure is in place. And the floor isn't even done. It's still dusty, so basically they haven't poured any concrete on the floor or cemented it or nothing. It's still dusty, just like you dug and did the foundation of the house. It's still the way it is, and that's where the children sit. No desks, no chairs, probably no blackboard. If they have a blackboard, then that's a bonus. No chalk. The children are probably, in half uniform. If one has a shirt, probably they don't have the right school shirt. If one has the right school shirt, probably they don't have the right school shirt. A number of them cannot afford shoes. A number of them cannot afford books, so it's so appalling. But here we are, just because we want to benefit a certain group of people, to have them get away with their selfish needs, then we are depriving these children of a better quality of education. We're depriving people of better roads. There are accidents day in and day out. Why? Because of the quality of the roads. Yes, there are people who drive recklessly, but a number of times it comes down to the poor quality of the roads that affects. Yes, the roads will contribute, in my own opinion, in my own view, the roads will contribute to a bigger percentage in terms of in terms of what would have caused that accident. The hospitals, women are giving birth on the floor, on concrete, no beds. If there are beds, then there are no mattresses. If there are mattresses, there's no bedding. Is that the kind of freedom that we can boast about, that we can be proud about? I know, security is, feeling like you're secure. You can walk around anytime, go places anytime, of the day and come back safely is good. But is it good enough when there are people that, can still not afford even the basic needs? The level of unemployment. I just saw today in the news as well, because of the 20 million being given to every member of parliament, the doctors have come out and they're saying they're going to strike. Why? Because of the pay. If there's any group of people that should have been paid, or paid to the level of the members of parliament, to me, in my opinion, the two people that would take the lead are teachers and doctors. But what do? They'll always sideline teachers and sideline doctors. These are people who have a lot, they contribute a lot to our lives, but they never realize it. Whoever buys a car for a teacher, whoever buys a car for a doctor, this is the reason as to why sometimes I actually do not blame the teachers or the doctors when they ask for bribes, or when they ask for, a gift from the people they've treated or from the people they've told. Because in my own view, they actually deserve it. They shouldn't even ask. It's us who should be grateful and we should bless them. We should be very grateful and bless teachers and bless doctors because they do a lot. But how much does a doctor earn at the end of the month? How much does my poor teacher earn at the end of the month? Whereas you see very selfish members of parliament, very selfish people working in, in government offices, and in all kinds of institutions, taking home with them millions or even billions of shillings at the end of the month when the poor teacher is going hungry. Do they care? No. So if only we can make some of these incentives, and spread it out. Let so many people benefit from it as well. That money that is being wasted to go and consult people, if you could put up projects for youths to get employed, and do so many other things as well, and then I think the money would be put to good use. And a number of members of parliament have come up and said, you know what, we do not need that money, specifically the ones who are against the amendment of the article. And they're saying we do not need that money because we know what our people want and what they're saying. And they have clearly stated as well that they are given money twice in a month to go back and consult their constituents. Not only about the article, but about things in general that are, that they need to, to deal with in the country for the betterment of the citizens. So if you're given that money twice, now the 20 million is going to be like a bonus. It's going to be like the third time for you to receive that money. How selfish, Why would you just want to take, without giving back? Give back to society, give back to the community, give back to the poor. Aim at improving services, aim at improving hospitals, schools, you know, set up, you know, youth programs, youth projects, youth centers, you know, vocational institutions for those who haven't gone far in education. Give everybody a chance. I don't think I would be proud to say, oh, you know what? I actually took you in. I gave you your freedom when actually I'm denying you, you know, so many things that would have contributed to the freedom. It doesn't make sense. So when we talk about independence, it shouldn't just mean independence from the colonialists. We should avoid making ourselves become colonialists as well to our own people. It's very wrong, very, very wrong. Reminds us of the situation that happened in America, you know, where the slaves were taken to America. And what happened? The white man began using the very people, the very black people, you know, to torture their own fellow black people, to snitch on them, and to mistreat them as well. Look at what happened in the West African countries where the slaves were taken from. They used their own people to sell them off. Why would we want to make our own people oppressed, our own people unhappy, instead of liberating them, instead of giving them joy, instead of giving them freedom 100% like we want? To me, I think we would all be much happier if things would go a different direction from the way they're going now, you know. Stop mishandling citizens. Allow people to have the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech. And the freedom to have every other, you know, basic human rights that they can get and enjoy it. But when you keep harassing people here and again, you know, and gag people and, you know, shut people up, oppress them, I don't think it's, you know, it's the best thing to do, honestly. The more we do that, the more we are pushing people away and the more we are making people rebel against the current government. If they are to take a different kind of tactic, they'll be surprised to see a different reaction from people. Allow people to express themselves, you know. But who are you who wants to take even precautionary measures? Even before somebody has stepped out of their house, you're already there to stop them from stepping out of their house, claiming that, oh, if they step out of their house and go down the road, then they'll probably cause commotion, even when you're not sure of it. You don't know what they're going to do. Probably he's just going down the road to buy a loaf of bread or something. But you want to prevent them even before they've... It's ridiculous. So at what level can we say, can we, you know, can we describe independence? Independence from what? Independence from just the colonialists or independence from oppressors in general? Because if we look at independence in the aspect of oppression, in the aspect of abuse of human rights, then I think Uganda isn't independent. I think we are still under a certain kind of colonialism or dictatorship, if you want to call it. But Uganda is far, far, far away from democracy. Far away. I just surely hope that things can change, within the shortest period of time, you know. I meant to finish, but I just remembered on Saturday, the 7th of October, 2017, just this past Saturday, there was a football match between, I think between Uganda and Ghana. Yeah, between Uganda and Ghana. The World Cup qualifiers. And the day before the match, the police came out to give a press conference, clearly stating that they'll arrest anybody that that will be wearing, any colors that will incite the public, any colors that will be in line with party colors. And when they say in line with party colors, what they were meaning specifically, because the members of parliament that have been in defiance and that are rejecting the amendment of the Article 102B have been for a number of, for a while now, donning on red ribbons, over their heads, plus red caps and red outfits, just to show defiance and that they're not in agreement with what the current government is trying to do. So the irony of it is the sponsors of the, of the football match were a company called Airtel, and their brand color is red. Their brand color is red, and the Ugandan Cranes, the football club, their playing jerseys are actually red. So almost every Ugandan owns a red jersey. It's ridiculous. So I could see on the news, they did not know who to arrest and who to leave behind. It's ridiculous. For how long are we going to live in that kind of fear? For how long are we going to live like that? Why don't you just let people be? So if you want to interfere now with even the freedom of dressing, very soon you're going to require people probably to move around naked or something. Why? Because every color, what if people come out, parties, different kinds of parties or different groups of people in defiance come out with different colors? Then are you going to arrest everybody that's wearing those colors? Are you going to refuse people from wearing their everyday clothes in those colors? It's ridiculous. Other than concentrating on the petty issues, these are very petty, petty, petty matters. Concentrate on more trivial issues, more things that will benefit the citizens, more things that will, that will contribute to the development of the country. It's ridiculous. To my countrymen, I applaud you all for your resilience, for your patience, with all these things that keep happening. Because not so many people have that kind of patience. To me, all that is happening now in Uganda is just bollocks. People want to concentrate on petty issues, you know. Is that what you're being paid for? Is that what you're taking a salary for at the end of the month? Just by being petty and by harassing other people out of your own insecurities? You need to come out, snap out of that insecurity, snap out of that, snap out of it. You all need to snap out of it, right from the president to the police to I don't know, the people they hired, to help the police in the communities, to the members of parliament who, are being funny as well, trying to push for issues which they know is not going to benefit anybody. Snap out of it. Just snap out of it with immediate effect. It's ridiculous. Do for people things that they'll remember tomorrow, things that will benefit a big community, things that will benefit a big number of people, other than being remembered for for having pushed for something that just wanted to benefit a small group of people. Things need to change. People need to change their mindsets. And the people doing the wrong things need to snap out of it. All these human rights abuses need to stop. I'm very proud of Nicholas Opio, for introducing a tracker. This tracker needs to roll out with immediate effect and start doing its work, so it can bring so many human rights abusers to book. In that way, they'll be kept in check. Because at the moment, they're getting away with so many things. It's ridiculous. Look at ordinary people being arrested every now and again, tortured. People come out with so many bad wounds, ailments. And some can't even afford treatment. Others have ended up dying. Look at some of the members of parliament. Some have broken skulls, broken necks, broken arms, broken spines. Thank God they can afford to go for treatment outside of the country. But how about the ordinary citizen? The poor man who is being arrested on the street just because he's being found to wear, a red ribbon or a red T-shirt, or he's trying to say, don't touch the Constitution, or don't do this. Or what is he going to do? Just for expressing himself, he's ended up getting so many wounds and, either a broken leg or arm, or even he's dead. And no one reports that, They're all just numbers that are just, counted and forgotten, with nobody doing a follow-up of what exactly happened. The human rights abuse tracker should roll on and should start doing its job and bring people to book. The faster this happens, the quicker the abusers are going to withdraw, and they'll be more careful, with the things that they'll be doing. We need things to change. Reminds me also of the children, who they found in a bus, in a school bus, going on their trip or going to perform somewhere. But just because they were dressed up, in red skirts, a yellow top, and tying red ribbons, they're men, adults. These are children. I'm talking about children between probably maybe 7 years of age to about 10. Adult males came from nowhere and stopped the coaches, and began whipping these children and their teachers, you know, claiming that they're going, that they're in support of the opposition, and they're going maybe to do opposition work and whatever, without proper information. But they are reacting, they're taking action. When is this going to stop? These are children, these are minors. Why abuse children and try and bring children into the world of politics? Even if you find a child wearing a red ribbon, do you know whether they understand what they're doing or not? Probably because he or she is seeing everybody wearing, adults wearing the red ribbons. They will want to wear it as well without even having an understanding of what the ribbon is for or why the adults are wearing them. We need to treat children like they're children. Forget about political affiliations. Forget about, the money they've given you as bribes to go and torture and harass every person that you find that is in support of opposition. Forget about that. Children are children, and nobody should touch them, no matter what it is. I just hope, I had, there were a group of men from a group called Border 2010, something like that. It's a group that's funded by, I think, the government. I hear, I, I'm not sure, I'm just saying what I had and what I've watched on the news and what I've read as well online. They are funded by somebody from the national resistance movement, you know and apparently they were given the go ahead to, to beat up anybody that tries um to protest, you know that tries to stand up against, the amendment of the article, that tries to dress up in, in a way of defiance, and they ended up landing on children, which was very wrong. I hope that they get arrested and the law takes its course, because to me that's, being a nuisance in the society. I think everybody just needs to take a chill pill, you know it's ridiculous. With that said, anyway, I hope things get better. I hope, um people change the way they are running things or doing things, and I hope this money that's going to be given to members of parliament does not go ahead, because I think that money can be used better, in much more better ways. And I also hope that, the respect for human rights and treatment of people will improve, so people can enjoy the freedom that they say they brought for us. you know Allow people to enjoy it, and allow them to enjoy it in full. Let's celebrate many more Independence Days, and let's actually you know, feel and have the love for celebrating our country instead of us feeling the way we are feeling sometimes, you know. We hope for better days. We hope for many more Independence Days to come. And may God keep watching over Uganda. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and you can leave comments, you know, suggestions, any advice you can give me. Um, yeah, any comments, and you know, anything we can interact and, you know, discuss, or anything else that you want me to talk about, you know, that's going on in Uganda. You can always leave a comment below and let me know what you want me to talk about. Yeah, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for liking my videos. You can like my videos as well. I'll be very grateful. For God and my country, I'm out of here.